Hi guys, I am going over the lesson for today. So please make sure that you absolutely pay attention because this is the kind of foundational lesson to get us started in our new unit. We are going to be going into disease. So spread of disease and pathogens, what cause disease. And we're going to kind of go through our lesson one. If you have not done so, you should have already picked up your yellow bell ringer paper and completed day 1 and 2. Please make sure you annotate the questions and then circle the correct answer. And you should have also picked up your lesson 1 packet that looks like this to write down your information for today. So at this point in time, let's go ahead and jump into the warm-up question, which says, have you ever been sick before? What was your experience like? So you're going to take a moment to answer these two questions. So there's a box beside these two questions, and you're going to describe what your experience has been with being sick and use as many details as possible that are school appropriate in the box beside the questions. So this would be a good time to pause the video and answer those questions. It should not take you more than about 2 to 3 minutes because we've all been sick before and we kind of know what that experience is. And you're going to write that information right here on your page number 1. So we're not going to have clearly a class discussion because I'm not there to facilitate this, but I do want you to take a moment and answer these 3 questions. What do you already know about diseases? How do they affect our bodies? How do you think we get sick? And what do you do when you get sick? Right? So think about what happens to your body when you're just not feeling your best. Think about what might have gotten you sick. And then what do you do when you get sick? Do you stay at home? Do you take some medicine? What type of medicine you take if you take it? Do you go to the doctor? So what do you do when you get sick? This would be another excellent time to pause the video and answer these 3 questions. Once again, it shouldn't take you no more than about 3 to 4 minutes to answer these. And you are going to answer these questions right here at the bottom in the class discussion section. Yep, right here. So just like with all of our other units, so if we think about our ecosystem unit, excuse me, we were talking about the wolves in Yellowstone Park. In chemistry, we were talking about bath bombs. In our Earth history unit, we were focusing on Pedro the penguin. And now we're going to focus on Nicole. So over the past few weeks, students at Huck STEAM Academy have been getting sick. Nicole is a 14-year-old girl that started to not feel well after spending the night at her friend's house. Her parents were concerned and took her to the doctor to see what was wrong. Nicole's mom waited patiently while she was talked to by her pediatrician. Now, one thing I did forget to tell you is that you're going to need a form that looks like this. So hopefully you picked it up as well because you're going to record some information after we watch the video about Nicole. So let's take a moment and kind of see and listen to what is happening with Nicole. So as we're listening to her story, listen and read the story for the second time. Fill in your model documents with her symptoms and any other information that you think is important to this particular investigation. So let's have a listen as to what's going on with Nicole. All right, so if you need to listen to that story again, by all means, rewatch the video so you can go back over what were some of the symptoms that Nicole had. So, on your own, and based off of the information that you just heard in the video, you are going to check off things that you heard in Nicole's doctor's appointment. So, these are things that you can check off on the list. You can write some additional notes if needs be. And then also think about, like, when you go to the doctor, if if you say, oh, I have a sore throat, on the little human body, the doctor might circle this area. Or if I'm like, oh, my wrist hurts, he would circle, or he or she would circle my wrist. If I said my head hurts, they might kind of circle my head hurting, specifically where my head hurts, whether it's like in the frontal lobe or in the back. So you're kind of the doctor. So you're going to mark your models to begin explaining why Nicole is getting sick. And then you're going to think about how her symptoms, so what are the things actually wrong with her, are connected and what might be happening inside of her body. So you have Nicole doctor's note. So if you don't have this form, please make sure that you pick that up as well. It says that we have nausea, dizziness, abdominal pain, weight loss, diarrhea, fatigue, fever, sore throat, loss of appetite, a rash, fainting, vomiting, weight gain, back pain, leg pain, muscle cramps, swollen joints, difficulty walking or moving. Did Nicole take any medication, painkillers, so things like Tylenol, fever reducers. Tylenol also is a fever reducer. Anti-nausea, antibiotics, antivirals, antiparasitics, antifungals, or did she take any kind of allergy medicine like Benadryl or maybe some Sudafed, Allegra? And then was there any prescribed medication? So like when she left the doctor, did the doctor give her anything? Did he give her painkillers or a fever reducer, anti-nausea, antibiotics, antiviral, antiparasitic, antifungal, and allergy? Okay, so medicine taken, these are things she would have taken before she came to the doctor to kind of help with the symptoms. And then medications prescribed are going to be things that the doctor actually prescribes her to take. So this would be a great time to pause the video or even go back to the video of Nicole's doctor appointment to fill out your doctor's note. So this might take you a little bit of time. So I would give myself maybe 5 to 7 minutes to fill out the symptoms. Any other information you heard that might be important, like for instance, where did she think she may have been that might have caused her to get sick? And then medications taken, medication prescribed, and please check off on her body, where is her symptoms occurring? All right, so we are not going to share initial ideals today. So this is why it's important that you're watching this and completing this, because we will do this tomorrow when I return. So how do Nicole's symptoms relate to each other? Why might her body be responding this way? What could be happening inside her body to cause these symptoms? So we already talked about the symptoms. You check them off on your list. So if I have nausea, and let's say that maybe she has diarrhea, so how would that go together? So this is important to think back to 7th grade when you did body systems. And think about the systems of the body, how they work together, and what symptoms could maybe relate to each other. And why is her body acting the way it is? And then what could be actually happening inside? So this would be another great opportunity to pause the video and answer these questions. So also remember that these are not right or wrong answers, right? So this is the initial ideals, right? Our foundational lesson. Excuse me. Because we have to figure out, well, what is causing Nicole to be sick? Okay, once again, so this is important to make sure we think about this, because tomorrow when I return to school, we are going to create our class consensus. And then we have to kind of determine, well, what things are making her sick? What are her symptoms? Where are these things happening in her body? Did she get prescribed medication? Did she not get prescribed medication? And think about, can we combine our ideals to make a more complete model? Okay, so we already talked about this form. This is where you are going to do most of your information for. I am going to take this for a grade. So please make sure that we have the appropriate things checked off. And then medications taken, medications prescribed, that I have at least 2 to 3 additional notes written in the appointment box. And then also make sure you circle, where is she having these issues at? And this is a basic body structure. So hopefully you know how to locate the stomach, the throat, and all that stuff. All right. So now I think on your paper, let me see. Yep. So after we've developed our initial model, we're going to talk about related experiences. So think about a time you've gone to the doctor, and you guys have all been to the doctor. Think about a time, did the doctor ask you a similar question? So think about, what were some of the questions the doctor asked her? Or just think about some of the questions you know that a doctor will probably ask you. How did you know you were sick? What were the indicators? What symptoms did you have? What actually made you feel better? And what questions did you ask the doctor during your visit? Now, I know that you guys are like really young. So what maybe questions did your parents ask the doctor, if your parents go in the room with you still? What did your parents ask the doctor about you not feeling well? So this would be another great time to pause the video and answer these 4 questions in the related experience box. All right, so now, like at the end of our first lessons with our unit, think about some phenomena that we know happens, but we can't really explain how it happens. And you could think about maybe some sicknesses, or something that happens to people, like something that happens to our body, and we really don't know how it happens. And it could be anything. Like, for instance, something that happens to our body is we get hiccups, right? So where do hiccups come from? Or what causes hiccups? But we want to think about things that remind you of Nicole's symptoms. So it might say, one time I had a really upset stomach. What causes upset stomach? So a good thing to think about, or think about some of her symptoms, right? So we saw diarrhea, headache, nausea, vomiting. So those are things that happen to our bodies, especially sometimes when we get sick. So those might be some questions that you might want to ask, or think about related phenomena that happens to our body. All right, and if you can't figure out a related phenomena, that's okay. I would like for you to at least come up with one, but if you can't, that's all right. These are some additional related phenomena to give you some ideas, because remember, I want you to come up with at least one, but there's information about the Ebola virus. So what I would do, guys, is you're not going to have, well, I'll give you access to this PowerPoint as well, but you might want to click on some of these links, or just simply go to YouTube and type in the exact name of these videos. I think they're videos. Yeah. Yep, so there are videos, so you can click on the video, type in the name in YouTube, and pull up this information to get a little bit more background knowledge about related phenomena. So we have the Ebola virus, Zika virus, flu, measles, any other kind of illnesses we know about. I will warn you, please do not look up any illnesses that deal with anything that's sexually transmitted. We are not going into that. So we're talking about kind of common illnesses that people can kind of contract, right? So a flu is well known. We know about the Ebola virus. We know about the Zika virus. COVID would be a really good one to do. So we know about the COVID virus. So, or just the common cold. Any of that information is fair game if you wanted a little bit background on a related phenomena. Okay, so make sure we answer that information right here on our paper. So now we're going to make some connections. So can any of these phenomena relate to what's happening at Huck STEAM Academy? Consider the following. How do the spread of diseases compare? How could these diseases be prevented? Do similar symptoms mean there's a similar cause? So this question is really referring back to these things, right? So how do these diseases compare and how they spread? How do they get from person to person? So in thinking about that, think about what's happening at Nicole's school. Right? So can we prevent these diseases? Compare how they spread. Are the symptoms similar? Right, so you're going to answer those questions right here on the Making Connections page. So how do the spread of these diseases compare? Could these diseases be prevented? Do similar symptoms mean there is a similar cause? Now, for those of you that are confused, all you're doing is choosing 2 viruses to compare based on this list right here. So you might need to Google some information. You might need to pull up a YouTube video, go to these links to get the information to answer these questions. Now, if I'm really stuck and confused, use the flu and like the common cold, right? Or use some of the illnesses that are going around school now. So like the stomach bug, flu is going around, the RSP virus is going around. So there's lots of viruses that are going around now that you can choose from that you can compare and help you answer these questions. We are not going to do the driving question board today, so be prepared tomorrow to create your sticky notes with your 2 questions. If you want to go ahead and do that today and write your questions kind of in this blank space, by all means, please do so. If not, then you will be expected to produce 2 questions tomorrow for our new driving question boards. So this is our new unit. We have got to figure out what is going on with Nicole, the student that went to Huck STEAM Academy, and the symptoms of an unknown virus. So we don't know what the virus is. We are going to figure that out over the course of the next couple of days. So we need to be thinking about, well, if we know she's sick, we don't know what it is, what would we need to investigate? What would we need to look at? What questions would we need to ask to help determine what is happening to Nicole? So our overarching question that we have to answer: how can we explain what is going on with Nicole? Why is she sick? Why is she having these symptoms? How does she contract whatever she has going on with her? And how does she get better? So these are just more questions that we're going to look at. How could we explain what's going on with Nicole? Think about times when you were sick. What happened to you? Your symptoms. How long were you sick? The doctor visit, treatments, tests, scans. Where did it come from? What do you think we need to explore further to help us understand what's going on? So on your paper where it says ideals for investigation, right here, you are going to write what kind of things do we need to research, look at, study, ask questions about in order to help us figure out what is going on with Nicole. So this would be an excellent time to pause the video to kind of answer these last couple of questions. And then lastly, for your exit ticket today. So we haven't come up with a question, but if you do have a question, what do you think we should explore next? So we know Nicole is sick. We looked at her doctor visit. We made a chart of where is her issues happening in her body. What are her symptoms? We figured out if she took medicine or got prescribed medicine. What would be our next steps? What do you think we should explore? What do you think we should look at to help us figure out what's wrong with her? And then tell me why. Please make sure that you write these in complete sentences at the bottom of your paper where it says exit ticket, which is right here. And this should conclude your packet for today. So there's no reason that this is not completely done. If you have gotten to this point and completed your exit ticket, at this point, you know you need to do iReady lessons. Also, I have updated grades for third quarter. We are already 4 assignments in, actually 5 assignments in, because you have your science benchmark. I have not put that in yet. You have your science test from the other day that I put in. You also have your geologic timescale ed puzzle. You also have your geologic timescale and fossil ed puzzle. And then you have your geologic timescale practice and review. Some of you have completed all of these. Some of you have completed none of these. This is a great time to make sure that all of these assignments are completed so you can be current on your grades. So this would conclude my lesson for today. Like I said, you should be completely done with lesson 1 and come tomorrow prepared to discuss what's going on with Nicole. All right. Have a good rest of the day. Make sure you clean up after yourself and put your papers in your binder. Bye.